Welcome to Rebel Watch, an all-Star Wars podcast.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
We're here. We're here and we're live. And I told, I told listeners just a second ago that are checking out the stream live that we weren't really intending to go live. We weren't intending to podcast. But to go live, you have to go live, as there's not a whole lot to it. The whole private thing, I don't trust it.
It's like when you're jumping, to hyperspace, right?
Yeah.
To test it, you gotta actually, know.
How do you test going into hyperspace?
Right.
I'm sure maybe
you gotta just do it, right? You gotta see if it works.
Yeah, maybe there's,
I'm sure many Bothans died in the initial trial, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Oh man. So my friend, and my friends listening and watching, the Force family out there, welcome to Rebel Watch.
Absolutely.
Friends. We are glad to have you here. As Mike said, we're just trying to get into the streaming a little bit.
Yeah.
We got to work on the internet. So the resolution's very, very.
It's like we're in the 90s.
It's grainy.
It's very grainy.
Throwback.
Like, we think we're running 360p or something like that.
Something. I don't even know.
So we got to figure out the camera situation, because we've got a really sweet DSLR, Holly's, and it's fantastic. But I don't know if I've mastered the streaming for it. I figured out how to turn off the auto sleep thing, but I don't know if I can get it to stream more than 30 minutes. But
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe we'll just webcam it next time. That'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, whatever works.
We'll
Yeah,
see what happens.
But yeah, friends. So that's exciting. Some new updates there.
Yeah.
We are working on. We are super close to the Bright Tree Publishing podcast.
Yeah.
Which I am very excited for. We've got basically, Mike, gift to me.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So it's going to be a large group of friends just kind of looking at Star Wars literature, Legends stuff, new canon novels. I think apparently after last week's episode, we need to read Plagueis.
Yeah, we got raked over the coals for that. But
I've never read it. I will be honest, I have not read it. And so I was kind of like, we had a discussion, and folks were just sort of like, we were going back and forth about how Anakin, was he who, the midichlorians, was it the Force? Was it Plagueis? Was it Palpatine?
Was it Dooku?
Who had a hand in it? Yeah, it? Oh my gosh, so many folks.
Well, but that happened. So that book came out. It was like right before the Disney purchase, right? Like it was a little before that, and so I remember being like, "That seems really amazing. I want to read that book." And then they started coming out with new canon stuff, and I'm like, "Let me get it Aftermath instead.
Yeah.
Let me get into these books," and it just never happened. So I don't know if anything we said really was not factual in the last podcast.
Oh, no.
We just maybe didn't have the whole story.
No, I've never read that. I just, going off of what the Force gives me, all right?
Yeah. Can I also say that I'm in a full Wookiee onesie right now?
And you're sweating.
And it's hotter than sin.
You're sweating.
Target had a medium available. It was
Yep.
either that or an XL, and I thought I'd be dragging an XL, so the medium I think it's a schmedium.
It's a schmedium for sure. Yeah.
A lot is
Yeah.
exposed in this thing, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is live. So if something if this thing rips open,
Then just,
there's no editing of it. Cut the feed. I don't know how we would do that.
Right, exactly. I know, crazy.
Yeah.
We do have a couple comments already out the gate. We've got Lindsay listening. We've got Stuart. Shout out to them. Nettie and Grace and others. Grace, by the way, you better get reading.
Come on, time
Young
to
lady.
get reading.
Okay.
Got a lot of reading coming up.
So Plagueis will be here before you know it. It's a funny place to start, my friend.
it is, but I'm excited.
Isn't that a funny place to start? But I'm okay with it. I think it's... Who would have thought we would start there? But it's because of the conversation that's been had, and folks want to see us get into it. And I think what'll be neat is we can put that to a vote a lot more often. Like, where do you want to take us next?
Yeah.
We'll have our own series that we want to go through, but then I'm all for, if they want us to read the Lando Calrissian, trilogy, sure, I will.
Why not? Yeah, sure. Here's the thing is, though. So you know how we're kind of looking at this literature based discussion as like a through the Ewoks' eyes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
learning these stories. The Ewoks may not even be surprised by the ability to create life.
Yes.
They may already be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
or
don't know.
preventing death. They have magic, my friend.
I was gonna say, yeah, we don't really know how the Ewoks reproduce. We will get into that.
Well, I'm just talking spells and crap.
Oh, I know you are.
You know what
but
I'm saying?
I'm even saying I'm going a step further and just like maybe they were created by the Force. You know,
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean,
originally everyone. You know,
Intercourse is the Force.
Right. Okay, well now
Right?
there we are.
I mean,
that's what we
If
talk
the
about.
Force is everything, right? I mean,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
it's the squirrel talking.
Holy smokes, that's awesome. But no, yeah, so excited for all of that, and we'll take some recommendations on series we want to get into with Holly and Grace, Mike, myself. We've got other friends, our good friend David and our buddy Tom, some other folks we want to get
Chewie
in.
the dog.
Chewie's in. He'll be here.
Hell of a reader.
Yeah, really can guide the
Tears
conversation.
through those pages. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
I feel like this is my comedy hour.
It's great. It's wonderful.
Really laying it on thick.
It's wonderful. So today we got a couple things. We're going to start with some major spoiler stuff. So if that is, I'm sorry, maybe should we say that till the end or should we start with it? What do you want to do?
They're not even that big a.
They're
it's
not.
Reddit, so you take it with a grain of salt.
I just
even think
don't
it's
want to get blasted.
This ain't like someone posting on YouTube that Caleb Dune bites the big one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Who
Like,
did that? by the
Disney
way?
XD did.
So did that.
Following your lead, I think.
Following my lead. Yeah.
But spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't finished Rebels. But this ain't even close in comparison.
Right.
And to me, these things aren't even that they're not even that interesting. I'm sorry, they're just not.
No. Okay. Yeah. They're small. I guess it's just
They're small
So it's
things.
small stuff. So maybe you don't need to turn away. It's probably not even going to be true. But let's hear it. So we got some Reddit stuff.
Yeah, it's Reddit stuff, and they're rumors, and some of this apparently matches with what Making Star Wars is reporting. So we'll just start from the beginning. So the rumor here: Luke and Leia appear in multiple flashbacks, including at least one scene where Leia is being trained or is discussing Jedi training with Luke. The outcome of the training is uncertain. It's also unclear if Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill filmed these scenes and will be de-aged, or if they are portrayed by younger actors and CG'd like Leia and Tarkin in Rogue One. My source has heard nothing about Han appearing in any flashbacks. So I already have one issue with that. Do we really think that Leia was doing any Jedi training? That's never the impression that I got, that she is training to become a Jedi with Luke. In my opinion, it was more of a on the side kind of thing. She's got a family going and stuff, and the last thing she's probably doing is becoming a full Jedi. She also, was, running or not running, but involved with the New Republic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I buy that. What do you think?
Yeah, you don't know whether when does that training take place? Because in Legends, I feel like, there's a little bit more time for her to have that training. And the way it's been set up with the Aftermath series, there's really not as much. So, but I'm sure that was discussed, and I'm sure that there was some, just connecting, maybe becoming more connected with, more in tune with those abilities and what you can do. Maybe it wasn't a full-on training like you're going to become a Jedi.
Yeah.
Maybe Luke was still kind of discovering. He's passing on what he's learned, right, to his sister, and that's maybe some of the first tutoring that he did, or first teaching that he did. But then from there, then he's looking for students who can dedicate to become a Jedi and be a part of an order, and adhere to the Jedi code.
Yeah.
But because Leia, as you said, is a born politician, she's raised in that. That's what she's good at. And oftentimes we've been reading Legacy and Fate of the Jedi, she's often called to, use her political skills, that savviness, to navigate some difficult situations. When there's a slave revolt, there's she's called in to kind of bring new systems into the Galactic Alliance and things like that. So. It's interesting. So,
what do you think about the mentions of flashbacks? They already J.J. Abrams already said that they're not using any CGI of any sort to recreate her, but no one's ever specified anything about using other actors for a flashback. But I also feel that like that would be odd because you're still comparing Carrie Fisher, now with her younger self, and then you're going to throw it's a very Han Solo situation.
Yeah.
Which I don't. I think they're kind of learning from that. Maybe we don't need to go down that route. So,
yeah.
And they had already talked about this. They're using stuff that they'd filmed with Carrie from episode 7.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking. I don't really know that I buy this because
I don't either.
she wasn't talking to Luke in episode 7, was she?
He's been away, man. How many years was he on Octu alone?
Right. At what point did he sever his connection to the Force, right?
Yeah.
So even if she was communicating with him through the Force, then, that doesn't make sense because he wasn't, connected to the Force. Now, Lindsay Godotti brought up a good point here on the chat, just that maybe the idea that Yoda comes back and is trying to teach her. Maybe that there's another, person who shows up and starts to kind of, he obviously knew that there is another Skywalker, right? I mean,
yeah,
he knew that, right? So,
yeah. Well, and didn't he in Legends? Well, no, not in Legends. In the actual story of the original trilogy, right? Didn't he want to actually train Leia instead?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, actually, Lindsay just said
we
know that she's
Legends?
Yoda's Plan A. All along, and Luke was Plan B.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy, right?
Man.
It'd be crazy.
I don't know. I just don't know if they're going down that path. There's clearly a connection, but if you think about it, they had that same connection on Bespin. Remember when they kind of speak to each other? In that moment, they already have that kind of.
That's what I'm saying. If they were filming something in the Force Awakens where they were doing that type of communication, it would make sense to me because Luke has severed his connection to the Force.
Yeah.
Unless it was before he severed his connection.
Well, unless you consider that Jedi training too.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know if that's Jedi training.
What was the other part to that? Was there anything else with the Leia and Han?
They just said they don't have anything about Han appearing in the movie. Or
yeah.
any flashbacks for him.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it's unclear if Mark Hamill and Carrie will be filmed in these scenes and will be de-aged or if they'll be portrayed by younger people.
Okay.
So
gotcha. I know you have one more thing here, just about the bounty hunters that we might see.
Oh, I've got a couple more.
Oh, cool. Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely.
So Leia's role in the Resistance, or Leia's role as a Resistance leader, is being said to be is said to be of a similar size to her role in The Force Awakens, perhaps even smaller, though her flashback scenes make her seem more present in the film. Mm-hmm. No confirmation on whether Leia lives or dies in the film.
Yeah.
So that kind of...
Let me ask you a question then on that note. Do you think Leia will die or that Leia will live as a character?
I just don't see how you can... if they're not making any more films, then we just go on thinking that she lives out the rest of her life, and or do we start the film off saying she's passed and we have a nice moment with Ben?
It's starting to seem like they based off of that.
Yeah,
and I could see them saying that she lives on.
Yeah.
Maybe she just has a different role, and she sets these things up, and she says at one point to Rey, "May the Force be with you," one more time. Or something. I don't know. Or she says, I don't know what she would do. And then she kind of diminishes in stuff. And then so.
I just feel like that could take away from Ben's moment. And I really feel like he's going to have that moment of sadness, torment. I don't know. I feel like her loss could make things even more interesting. But I guess she could also just kind of go on and live on. I mean, if we're not going to make any more movies, we're not going to have to explain it, really.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Exactly. It's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. A couple other things. There's solid red First Order troops, yet their role is unclear at this point. So maybe some similar characters to what we saw in the Resistance cartoon show. Nine Numb appears in an identical costume from the previous films and has a larger role than either The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi.
I'm down.
Do you remember Nine Numb in The Last Jedi?
Yes. He was there, wasn't he? He was just a quick shot, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
Wasn't he a fighter? Wasn't he?
I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't. I have to. I feel like I saw him though. I feel like he was there.
I just kind of assumed he was on with.
I assume he's always there.
Me too.
Okay.
But I guess I was kind of thinking that he was on in the bridge with all the leadership, but he's not really part of leadership, is he? I guess so. Maybe we'll see 9 number, which is cool, or 9 number. Is that how they say?
That's how they say in the audio. But yeah,
okay.
I don't exactly. I've heard it so many different ways.
It's weird. Or is that a different character? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe. A couple comments from the chat here. So we got Jory just saying, that he feels like in the film at some point she is going to pass. No clue how, but it's going to be in good taste and will honor her character.
Amen.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what they're going to do. But when I read and I think more about it, it could, they had it set up to where she played a big role in this. Yeah. So I don't know if they. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how they're going to navigate that. That will be probably one of the most interesting, fascinating things to see is how they handle her character, and then maybe to hear from some of the producers what their intentions were. Yeah, I hope in several years we get that. But Grace also mentioned that it's cool to see how Luke has severed his connection to the Force, like his son Ben in Legends severed his connection to the Force, and that's a good point. He was afraid during the Yuuzhan Vong War. He kind of just so much was going on. He was overwhelmed and severed that connection, and it took Jason Solo bringing him back. So yeah, it's something that has been done before, because when we first heard that that he had severed this connection to the Force, that's something that some folks were like, you can do what? You can do that. How do you do that? You can. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right, what else you got, man?
The Knights of Ren do appear and each have a distinct weapon of choice, as has been previously seen in The Force Awakens. Okay. And the concept art for that film. That's all we hear about that. That's cool. Okay. I mean, I think they could be a very easy, villain to put in the film, and that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. I mean, just put them in there.
They're the only other option that's been mentioned. So.
Yeah, make them look awesome. Yeah, epic fighters. Perhaps. So do some cool stuff.
Here's a real interesting one.
Less is more sometimes. Boba Fett, for example.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Did she really?
Well, I mean, that would be very generous.
She's very kind.
Absolutely.
She's very kind.
Absolutely. Here's the interesting one that really kind of threw me off, because this is a completely different direction than where we thought, and then I think everyone kind of thought. Carrie Russell, my crush from Felicity. Yeah. Her character is a bounty hunter with an allegiance that is unclear to my source, this individual says. Carrie's character was a purple, nearly magenta jumpsuit with bronze gold accessories, including an elongated helmet. He says, think about a fancier version of Zam Wessel, and my source says that'll get you pretty close. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right.
I guess I'm kind of thinking, like, who could be that bounty hunter character? Have we really had that bounty hunter character in any of the new trilogy?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting to see.
I don't think we have, so that would make sense, right?
Yeah, it would be neat to see some type of really cool to connect us to the piracy that goes on. The Star Wars underworld, the underworld. The criminal underworld. What do we have? Connections to that would be Benicio del Toro's character, just blanked.
DJ.
Yeah, DJ. So that would be interesting to get more of that. So she's not Mara Jade? What's going on?
She could be.
What's going on, man?
Maybe she just plays a bounty hunter,
Man, hey, all right. Yeah, she's undercover. No, that's cool. It would be neat to see a female bounty hunter, different than a Mandalorian, something, cool. Will we see a Mandalorian?
That's what I was kind of wondering, but...
Probably not.
No,
we have a whole
much,
TV show for him.
So much for it.
Yeah.
And then we have Naomi Aki's character, supposedly Finn's sister, which will be interesting because how does that happen? How does he meet up with her?
Really?
I don't know.
Maybe, how the First Order is sort of like not harvesting these children, but how they're taking in these young children, right, and bringing them through their program. Perhaps they find an establishment where that's happening. and maybe she's there running it. His sister's there, a part of it.
Wow.
Maybe him and his sister were taken, and
That'd be messed
they
up.
go there. And yeah, it would be crazy, wouldn't it?
But wouldn't it be nice? I mean, I guess Finn's
Sorry, I'm
kind
just
no,
straight speculating.
No, Finn's kind of adopted the Resistance as kind of, well, has he?
Well, what I mean is that like she still could be just doing her job.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
not like, and then to see that her brother has left gives more. He's that
Gotcha.
hope to them that like
Gotcha.
you don't have to live in this, this system.
Yeah.
I don't know, because where else would he find her unless she's back with his family and he was just the candidate that was taken away.
Yeah.
And he stumbles across his family. What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
That's
I don't
pretty
know.
crazy.
This could be a whole Finn becoming his own person, finding parts of his actual family, becoming a family with this resistance or rebellion, whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
Because he really hasn't done that in 2 films. It's all been about finding Rey. I could care less about this mission, but I got to find Rey.
Yeah.
So
it would be interesting to see him thrust forward as somebody
Yeah.
who's a pretty big, more
Yeah.
of a, I don't know, more interesting. I don't know. Yeah.
And maybe he finds out his sister's fighting the fight somewhere else and they come together. I don't know. It's interesting stuff. And lastly, C-3PO has a scene where he holds military gear. It's unclear whether he actually fires any weapons, though. That's kind of weird.
Is this person, are they claiming to have seen the trailer or something? Or just...
It's some source on the inside. I don't know. Probably seen
Yeah.
some bits of the film. But yeah, that's irrelevant. Whatever.
Okay.
He's holding gear. Cool.
Right. Okay, cool. Interesting. A couple more comments here. First of all, back to that's what she said. Jory said she never said that. So, and she never will, probably. But
man can wish.
Yeah, dream. That's funny. Lindsay said that she hopes that Finn's sister isn't true, and that's not the case. If we can trace back his family, they're probably important people. And she likes the idea of him coming from no one or nowhere.
Ooh.
He and Rey, sort of just that like new.
Yeah.
You know.
But how big of a twist if he was coming from some wealthy family.
Yeah.
And him and Rose are together and she just despises those 1%ers.
Yeah, it could be.
Awkward.
That would be awkward.
Right?
That's for sure. Yeah.
Right.
So Grace wants to see more of Poe. Come on, who doesn't?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
You know?
Nettie says that C-3PO will become a battle droid again. Sounding cool. That could be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Well, and then, oh my gosh, you guys are killing me here in this chat. Jory said that, is it really a Star Wars trilogy if someone doesn't kiss their sister?
Yeah, serious. Yeah. So,
seriously.
So let's bring Finn's sister into this movie.
Right.
Maybe, he doesn't know it.
He has no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, okay, down. And then he finds out later.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I guess I'm going back to Rose.
And then it just takes Luke Skywalker saying there is another Calrissian. It's just like, what?
Well, that was the original theory of people's that he was Lando's son. But,
Right. I still think he is.
Which would make him then, come from,
Yeah, somewhere.
money.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, anyways. All right, that's cool stuff. So that's it on the Reddit theories there. A little update.
They
for
may
you
pop
guys.
up here and there. But
Okay, all right.
We'll see.
All
We'll
right.
see.
So some funny stuff there, some good things. I asked earlier for folks just to kind of had Lindsay track down some of Queen Amidala, Padme herself, like this family connection.
Yeah.
What family does she have? And I thought about this because I'm like, when you think back through the Skywalker line, you're like, okay, Shmi, does she have a family? Where did she come from? Who are her parents?
Well, someone speculated that she was dating Plagueis for a while.
Right?
So
For sure.
who
Sure.
knows?
But she wasn't conceived by midichlorian. She had where did she get that Skywalker name from?
Do we know that?
I don't know. Maybe she was. Maybe she was. I
Did
don't know.
Plagueis plant her? Who knows?
Who knows? Mike's on this Plagueis just
I don't know.
tangent
He's
going
everywhere.
crazy. He's everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Maybe it's in the book and I just haven't read it.
It's probably. It literally says that Plagueis created Shmi and we just never read it.
Hey guys, welcome 6-7 years later.
No, I know that doesn't happen or I would have heard about it. But
All right.
what I was thinking about is just, her family. And then I thought, it led me to Luke's mother, Leia's true mother.
Yeah.
And he asked about her, in return. And it's like, who was she? And we go back and we learn all this stuff about her. And she does I knew she had a sister. I've seen the deleted scene there. I wasn't sure there were two younger, looked like family members at her funeral.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure who those folks were. Lindsay's kind of talking, saying that they could be her nieces, maybe from her sister, you know?
Okay.
So would that mean Luke and Leia have cousins, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So who are they?
Yeah.
Right. So they have other family. You see, they've got other family, and so it's like, who are these folks? Could they come into this at some point, and would that be a tie back into some of the prequels and help explain what is it that they know? You know,
What do you? I don't
because
know.
Leia, when she's looking at, and maybe there's some stuff in Bloodlines that I missed or I didn't understand, because that royal, that's through her adopted family though, but like, you know, when she's looking at becoming in charge of, I forget what planet it is, or where she's in line for something, some royal position. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
and it was a little bit confusing to me, but so that was through the Organa, you know, family situation.
Yeah.
But then her mother, you know, was once Queen Amidala, you know, right?
I don't know. I think was she? She served her time as queen. So is that like an elected position?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, it's an elected position, yeah,
Yeah.
but like so her mother is Padme, you know, so like Leia.
Oh, we're talking about Leia. I'm thinking about Padme's mom. I don't know why that
Oh,
made that
no,
connection.
no,
I was like,
no,
wait
yeah.
a second.
No, it's elected, yeah. Her family, there's actually on her Wikipedia page, I think her father was involved in the Senate. He might have been a senator.
He'd have to be. She's got to come from some wealth, I think.
Yeah. They've been in politics. She was raised in politics and all of that.
Yeah.
So, Rui something. I don't know. I can't pronounce their names, but they're
Try.
Yeah, I tried and I failed. But so, anyways, I was just wondering, you know, your thoughts, Mike. I guess what is it like? Could we ever see any of her descent, her relatives? You know, that would be related to the Skywalkers? Nah. Okay.
No,
You're not liking it.
I don't know. It would lead to some significance for them, and I hate to say it, but like Padme was a great character, but her and Anakin's love was organic, and there was no influence. Well, I mean, there was some influence on Palpatine's part for sure. He was definitely corrupting the mind of young Annie. But
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like it kind of made. I don't know if it could take away from her story. Some in my mind, I don't know. I just kind of like that happened organically, and that she was a strong individual, and that's really all I need.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, let me.
What do you think?
Here's a couple more things from Lindsay. So just bonus point here. She says that Padme was super tight with her sister and nieces. I'm willing to bet that if the nieces ever found out they had cousins, they would try to track them down. Anakin also met with all of them. Okay. In those deleted scenes. As Vader, would he try to track them down, or would a little bit of Anakin be remaining and try to protect them? If he knows, would there be any attachment there? Is there anything, you know? If he's looking for, does he have any clue that the children survived? You know, I know they kind of fake that whole, you know, the funeral session, you know, because he doesn't know about Luke and Leia. They were well hidden.
Yeah, which is why I don't know from what we've seen in some of the comics and stuff. It's just I don't know. He just misses her and
maybe it hurts too much. You know, maybe it's just like he doesn't want any association with them. I don't think he would try to harm them or hurt them. You know,
and I just don't know what the need would be. You know,
Well, the only reason I was thinking is that if he had any suspicion, and Palpatine did, that there were children, that he might seek out her relatives to try to figure out if they were, you know, given in that direction. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I don't know.
Hey,
unless he's trying to bring her back from the dead, and he's like, I need, you know, your blood.
I need your blood.
I don't know. It just kind of takes us in a...
Isn't it? Because there's a book coming out, right? Isn't there a book on Padme coming out?
Yep.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought, what are we going to get in that? Would you ever? Who could surprise us? I guess in 9 or in some of these TV series that would develop, that we'd be like, oh, there's a connection, there's a tie there, because it's a story about family. Yeah, and I just kind of thought,
I kind of thought it would just show why she became this great queen. You know, why everyone loved her, because they did. So I just kind of thought it would be a very similar story to Leia, you know, because they are very similar in their upbringing and what they pursued. So I can see it being some. Is it Claudia Gray writing it? I can't even remember. Or is it?
Not sure. And I think somebody just said March 5th. Is that when it's coming out?
Oh man, there's just too many books to read.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up here.
I don't think it's Claudia Gray. I think it is. Who wrote the Leia novel? Princess Leia.
I have no idea. Claudia Gray, wasn't it?
Was it?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
We're on top of it. That's for sure.
Hey, we're not prepared. Are we ever though?
No, we weren't expecting to do this podcast. That is true.
An unexpected podcast.
Yeah, it really is. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything. Queen's Shadow, is that what it's called? Is it called Queen's Shadow? I think Star Wars Queen's Shadow.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. I'm looking it up here. I could be wrong about that. E.K. Johnston.
E.K. Johnson. She wrote the Ahsoka novel.
Okay, cool.
It was someone who's written one of those.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Queen's Shadow.
All right, cool. Yeah, awesome.
So
that's neat.
Yeah.
I think that I knew that book was coming out, and I had heard another podcast kind of talking about it. It might have been Force Toast.
Okay.
And I had never thought about her children, you know, or I'm sorry, her sister / niece and other family members, and what they knew. Did they know anything? You know, were they a part of?
Here, you want to break it down?
Yeah, break it down.
That Queen Shadow book.
Yeah. Is there a summary?
Yeah. StarWars.com says it's set after the events of Phantom Menace. It follows the former Queen's transition to a senator as she navigates the treacherous world of politics with help of her loyal handmaidens. For the Padme faithful, it promises to offer some previously unknown insight into her evolution between the films, plus more Amidala, a modern Star Wars icon, is always a good thing. While details about Queen Shadow are still under wraps, StarWars.com in a quick chat, blah, blah, blah. So, interesting, because we're definitely going to see Palpatine, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I need more interactions there.
Yeah.
Because while they were supposedly close, she seeks him out to, a couple times in the prequels, but let's get a deeper conversation, a deeper relationship, and see him manipulating her more, because how he's always surprised, like, oh, it's an unexpected move of her.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to know how she's going to handle things, so it'll be kind of cool. I would assume they would be, having those types of interactions. In this book.
That's cool. That's cool. Another reason I brought this up, Mike and I sat down today and we were watching episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Alice's favorite.
Yeah, Alice's favorite, by the way. Yeah. Shout out to her. And I was just shocked. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I knew we wanted to talk about Obi-Wan. We wanted to talk about Padme. And as I'm watching the opening there, number one, I said, what did I say? I said it felt like Star Wars.
It did.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it is Star Wars. Because it's George Lucas.
Yeah.
So you can't argue with that, friends. All right? So those prequel haters can, Yeah. I enjoyed it, though, and I enjoy almost every Star Wars movie that I've ever seen. There's just bits and pieces that I don't like. There's never a whole movie I haven't liked. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So I was thinking about, first of all, just as we lead into kind of transition from Padme and switch over to Obi-Wan and the Jedi at that time. We just also read the Age of the Republic Obi-Wan Kenobi comic book, which just came out a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it had some interesting information in there. There are so many. I'm just watching, Chancellor Palpatine sit in front of the Masters.
And lie to them.
Sit right. I mean, they're right next to him. He's literally right in front of them. Master Yoda, do you really think it will come to war? You know what? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
He's just totally playing them, and it's unbelievable how powerful and how strong of a manipulator Palpatine is. Yeah, I just give him all the credit. And by the way, like Ian McDermott just playing that character is huge.
Oh yeah,
huge. Yeah, and I hadn't seen it in such a long time that I was like, Samuel L. Jackson is sitting across from him. These two completely different styled actors. Yeah, and I was just kind of blown away. But then Mike and I were talking a little bit about just the arrogance of the council talking about the missteps that they took with Anakin, and a lot of that is blamed on like Obi-Wan. You know, like Obi-Wan takes a lot of the blame, saying that it was, you know, he thought that he could train Anakin, you know, as like Master Yoda, and it's really not that, because this comic was, what I got from it, the theme is that like Obi-Wan is trying to become the best master that he can. And spoiler, by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about the Age of the Republic Obi-Wan Kenobi comic. So if you haven't seen it, if you're cool with us talking about it, stay, hang out. It's you know, it's a good comic series. There's going to be multiple Obi-Wan editions, right? Is that how they're doing it? Or, yeah,
these are one-offs right now, so it's hard to tell. I think they're just supposed to be, but they didn't even. The whole point of in this read was to find this holocron, and they did, and then nothing came of it.
Right? Yeah, it was more about the training. Yeah, whether he was going to be a good master.
Yeah, but I thought, well, there's definitely going to be at least a few pages to go, and we'll talk about what's on this holocron.
No, nothing. Nah. Yeah, so maybe it is going to just be, you know, a one.
Yeah.
One thing there just to kind of explain some of what he was feeling. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Mike, just on, because we weren't prepping. We were going to do a big Obi-Wan episode, but I think now we're going to do like a miniature just discussion on him to kind of wrap things up. But thoughts on Obi-Wan and the position that he was in to instruct, be the master, the teacher for Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one.
Yeah.
He just became a Jedi. Knight.
He wasn't a Padawan that long ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
It's a lot
to take on. So I get that. But then, I think people will point the finger at him, but then I'm watching episode 2, and it's like Yoda sees all these different flaws that are more and more common. Maybe he did talk to the masters about it, but and he talks about how arrogant they are. I mean, look in a mirror. I know. He and Mace Windu need to look in a mirror.
Yeah.
Because they had grown arrogant.
Yep.
I mean, Yoda says, "Failed, have I?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they did. They did. You know, he was right in front of them the whole time, manipulating, pulling the strings.
The thing that struck me most, the most striking comment in that issue was Yoda saying, "Dangerous is a Jedi not trained well," or he says it in some way like that.
Something like that, yeah.
If a Jedi isn't trained well, they're the most dangerous. Yeah. How long are we saying that? Because when Anakin was just a tiny little, he was little Annie, we were saying that, and now we're still concerned. There's this prophecy out there that someone's going to save us, but you know, their judgment's clouded right now. Something's going on, and it just happens in the time where this kid is coming along. Okay, well then get rid of him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to train this guy. You're taking if you're saying that he's one of the most powerful Padawans they've ever experienced, right?
Yeah.
And then you're extremely troubled that he's not following orders, he's not doing, but there's just this excuse of, oh, well, he's pretty old, so it's taking him a while to catch up to things. But it's just like, well, then just stop training him.
Well, but the other thing, though, was that Yoda was actually, ironically, the one in favor of sending Anakin on the mission, right? With Obi-Wan in the comic book.
Wait, was he?
Yeah. I mean,
he asked him, he's like, are you taking him? He's like, well, I hadn't planned on it.
But then that's when he persuades him, and he actually says to Anakin, you know, that he was, almost like, you know, ironically, Master Yoda. You know, he says to Yoda, "Weren't you the most?
You were the most against this.
against the training of Anakin."
Yeah.
And it's like, so Yoda's kind of pointing to Obi-Wan, like, you need to train him well.
Yeah.
You're the one, and so I get part of this. I get from Yoda, which is like, you agreed to do this.
Yeah.
The council does not agree with the training with you taking this boy as your Padawan. But if Obi-Wan wouldn't have, they would not have trained him.
Well, and their training was definitely cautious too, because remember when he actually goes on the mission, he's like, "Man, it feels good to see space again."
Yeah.
Like since he was a little Annie, he hadn't gone out and really done. He's like, I feel like we may have made a mistake, like, you know, keeping him locked in the temple this whole time. So it's like they were taking a very cautious approach, but like, I don't know. Like
they don't trust him, Mike.
They don't trust him.
And from the get-go, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, then why train him? I just, because of this prophecy?
Because Obi-Wan took him. Because Obi-Wan made a promise to his master and said, I will train him without your consent. So part of it I do lay at Obi-Wan's feet.
Yeah.
You know, in saying that he did say that he was going to train him, but at the same time, you know, why not, like, so he's going to train him, but why not get the help that you need? Or once he's going to do this, you know, and they finally agree, then, because they don't want him to go down the path that, to be resistant to the council. They see greatness in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And Yoda does seem to kind of guide him here. But I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot going on in the Order, and Yoda's the head. I'm sorry, man.
Yes.
You know, you're the head of the Order. We got to put this down.
Yeah.
You're in charge, man.
Yeah.
Be more involved in the training. And he was involved in this training. He did, you know, they talked about him sparring with Yoda and things as he grew. But it's interesting to look when we're in that comic. A lot of the training goes on. Master Obi-Wan is there in the temple, training him in the temple.
Yeah.
And doesn't take him out. And then eventually, you know, when a mission comes for Obi-Wan, he would leave Anakin there to be trained by other, you know, academy masters and things.
Yeah.
With a group of younglings or Padawans or what have you. And so then he would take off. And then now it's like, this is his first mission where he goes out. Yeah. And he did a good job. And he actually kind of shares with him that he's like, you got stuck with me because Qui-Gon died. And what does Obi-Wan say in the comic? He says, I wish I had my master to turn to.
He does.
For guidance and training.
He doesn't have one.
He doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And so he has no master to turn to help him train this powerful student.
And that's almost at the beginning. It's almost like he has to get over the loss of his master too to kind of move on, because he's very protective of Anakin. We see that, and he's like when they get confronted by the pirates, and he's like, Anakin, get behind me, and I'm just like, wait, what? He's got a laser sword. Like, let him kind of you know, help defend. But like, he's very cautious about it. But at the beginning, this Jedi master presumably is talking to these kids, and one of them's Obi-Wan, and he says, meditation is about more than just foregoing a deeper connection to the Force. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves. It is a means of obtaining greater control of our thoughts and our emotions. And then it says, peace, serenity, harmony. We must master ourselves before we can hope to master the Force. So I just feel like he's still mourning the loss of his master.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really moved on from that.
Sure.
And he does. Anakin kind of calls him out on it. He's just like, you see me as a burden.
Yeah.
And he does, I think, right? Like he was kind of thrust into this position until he finally embraces it kind of at the end and says, we're going to go on with this. We're going to help each other out. We're both young, we're both inexperienced, and we're going to learn from each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a good, heartfelt story.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. I'm getting a couple comments here, and one that that stuck out to me. We've got Lindsay and Nettie kind of going back and forth about the prophecy of the chosen one. Since we're talking about Anakin and where did that, you know, prophecy originate from?
Yeah.
The question was, you know, did we ever talk about where that came from? And I believe it's just an ancient prophecy. Just a Jedi prophecy there. The chosen one would bring about the destruction of the Sith and restore balance. Restore the balance of the Force.
Back in Revan, they're talking about a savior of some sort, right?
Right. So Revan's,
so is it that same prophecy that is playing?
I think it's more that was more you mean from did over time what was Revan's prophecy turn into?
Well, because he kind of say I wasn't the chosen one, so to speak.
Yeah, and he's talking about more, you know, the setup for that game is that the hero of, oh my gosh, please let me know in the comments, guys, which one I'm thinking of. It's the Old Republic game where you are the hero of this place, and you are the hero that's prophesied by Revan to take out the Sith Emperor. Yeah, which is wild.
But I mean, what is there, a prophecy every 1,000 years or something that we'd say, like, you're going to bring balance to the Force? You're going to, I mean, what?
Yeah, let me see here. So I'm just doing a quick little dive onto the Wikipedia and looking up some of this. So, 40 years after the Battle of Yavin, you've got this is in Legends, right? they come across the Great Holocron, and it contained many references to the prophecy of the Chosen One. A Jedi will come to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. And that's Are those the many references? I'm trying to. So housed in the Jedi archives on Coruscant, the Great Holocron was the centerpiece of the Jedi Temple's library holdings. It contained vast amounts of information that was accessible to any Force-sensitive being willing to open itself to the Holocron, and the Jedi trainees were encouraged to explore its contents. So, and this is all, I have to click on the Legends tab to see it. Jocasta Nu is in there talking about the depths of the Holocron and all that good stuff. So, it's rediscovered by the new Jedi Order in 40 ABY, and so that's cool.
Okay.
That's pretty neat, and they go in there and they talk a little bit more about it, because I feel like Luke understood some of that prophecy a little bit, for sure, in Legends, because he talks about, there's at one point the Mortis gods are going to come into play at the end when he's Grand Master, so yeah, that's interesting as well too. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to follow up on that real quick, because we had a question about it there, but as far as I know, and as far as I've ever understood, it's more just been this ancient prophecy. I don't think anyone's ever put down like a finger on where it came, who, the Jedi that made the prophecy. By the way, it makes me think, like, if that's an ancient prophecy, what are the other, what other prophecies could be made? Lindsay makes a good point too, that she hopes there's a little snidbit where, whether it's in like a Rey's survival guide type of book, or something where Rey is looking at the ancient Jedi text and comes across the Chosen One prophecy, you know what I'm saying, in the text.
And she communicates with Anakin, and
maybe
there's the Force Ghost, and
maybe, it would be kind of cool to see what's all in those texts that she can get. I mean, they're page turners, they are not, but yet maybe they have a little nugget. For Yoda, they're not page turners, but for us, one little drop of something, we might be like, wow, that's huge.
Well, maybe her and Anakin have a moment, and he says, "This burden's now passed on to you." Because Yoda says, lose Rey, we must not.
Right.
So she's the key.
Yeah.
She's the balance now. So maybe they have a conversation. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. My goodness, man. Any more comments? Let me just check here real quick. So let's see here. I know the prophecy is probably much older, but if Palpy did create Anakin, it would be really cool if he somehow created the prophecy and deceived the Jedi with it as a part of his plan. Oh, that'd be interesting. If it's
that's kind of cool.
If it's a prophecy that maybe was meant to mislead the Jedi.
Yeah.
Whether it's Palpy or somebody years ago created something that deceived them. That's the nature of the Sith, right?
I mean, he's obviously deceiving them outright anyway. So, I mean, what better way to make them lean on something to solve all their problems, being this chosen one? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, guys, don't worry. There will be a chosen
up to this
one
guy
one day, and he's going to save us. So
if we screw it up, it's
that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
That's part of the deception.
Let your guard down.
Exactly. That it just shrouding their senses alone wouldn't necessarily bring them down. It's about mistrust and getting someone on the inside that they trust.
Yeah.
So that could have been him creating Anakin and creating this prophecy. Who knows, man?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's actually a really outside the box idea. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it a lot too.
Huh.
So,
were you surprised by anything you read in this like their interactions, just like the way he treated him a little bit?
Yes, I was. I mean, part of it is, Obi-Wan is young and he himself is kind of blown away. I think he was so respectful and revered his master so much.
Yeah.
And Anakin does not as much.
Shocking.
As much as he did.
Yeah.
And I think that to him is insulting.
Yeah.
And so he kind of, there's a couple times where he makes remarks like, but he never listens.
Yeah.
Anakin never listens.
Yeah.
But maybe it was that his master, maybe Qui-Gon thought the same thing, but masked that feeling more so and didn't, I don't know, Obi-Wan didn't see that from Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Obi-Wan's showing too much. His feelings are too much on the surface and easy for Anakin to read and perceive.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because in episode 2, his disobedience seems really revealing to Obi-Wan. Like he's just like,
it's abrupt, isn't it?
What?
It's abrupt.
Like you're going to talk to me like that?
And it started clear back in this comic. You can see where some of that you know, he kind of already feels like, no, Obi-Wan doesn't even want me.
Yeah.
He was forced to take me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because he made a promise to his master that he's following through on. And if Obi-Wan doesn't follow through on that promise, then the Jedi won't train me. Mm-hmm. So he's already really kind of bitter, right? He knows that.
Yeah.
He knows these things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that's... What did you think of some of the interactions? I mean, that was...
Yeah, no, it's they shouldn't be that surprising, because remember when Anakin goes back to Tatooine and he's like, he's jealous, and he like throws that thing.
He's holding me
back. It shouldn't be that surprising. But I'm watching him. He's like, Anakin, get behind me. I'm just like, this dude's powerful. Mm-hmm. And the whole little lifting rocks trick, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But
well, he was thinking back to his training.
Yeah, exactly. So he was which means he was listening.
He was listening,
and so it kind of comes full circle. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Also, I think Obi-Wan sets the bar a little too high, because he's still training Anakin, right?
True.
And he's still learning, and he is behind some of the other Padawans, but at the same time, he's ahead. Yeah. And he knows that he's, air quote, the chosen one, so he sets the bar extremely high.
You're right.
And at the same time is shocked by his disrespect, his talking back, his, you know, contradicting, not in a polite way all the time, his master, you know? And it's just kind of, it's tough. It's his first student.
And that's kind of, here's what I kind of want. I kind of want to see the behind the scenes of Anakin a little more. Mm-hmm. And maybe, I don't know if he has his own issue of this or not. Did they just release one for Anakin?
Did they? I'll look.
I think they may have, but I want to see Anakin in this time frame. Or even,
I think you're right.
Maybe when he was a little younger, interacting with fellow Padawans. Were they talking about this prophecy? You know, was he? Did they know he was the supposed chosen one? That's a big temple. There's lots of people there. There's a lot of pressure on him too. Mm-hmm. So this urgency for him to be great isn't necessarily it's not all coming from him, right?
Yeah.
He's got these people telling him around how great he is, and then they're also terrified of what he can become, so they handle him with a lot of caution, and I think that kind of sends mixed signals.
Yeah.
So
I understand what you're saying, though, and they do have issue 1 of Anakin Skywalker, Age of the Republic. Okay. But he's older. Okay. And he's facing down, trying to strike this devastating blow to the separatist, you know, movement. And he has a choice to make: choose the dark path or hold true to the Jedi code. Obviously, at that time, he will hold true to the Jedi code, but he's struggling with that. But back in part of the Jedi Apprentice series, which is amazing that I bring this series up as much as I do, very small junior reader novels, but Obi-Wan did struggle with some of the other Padawans. Yep. He was getting too old, and no one chose him. Yeah, you know, others were chose over top of him, and no master wanted him. And Qui-Gon ends up...
He's like the last kid to get picked for kickball.
He left. He was actually...
sad.
He was taken... he was sent somewhere else. I think he was working in like... I don't think he was even being sent back to his family. I think he was still working for the Jedi Order, but he was using his talents and his gifts in another way. He wasn't to become...
washing robes or something?
Something like that. I mean, it was. I can't remember exactly. But then on his way there, he ends up, the Force brings him together with Qui-Gon.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so it is kind of crazy. And that's this whole bit where... And actually, in this comic that we were reviewing, Qui-Gon says to him, you know... He remembers that he didn't expect to get it. It was an unexpected Padawan. Yeah. Like, he didn't expect to have him this early on. Yeah. And even though he'd already had an apprentice before, I'm talking about Qui-Gon now, Xantos had him as his apprentice before, and he fell to the dark side, so Qui-Gon didn't want to get another apprentice. But when he does, you know, he's in the same boat kind of that Obi-Wan is with Anakin. And that's why he's thinking back to how his master treated him, even though he wasn't quite ready. Although he was way more, you know, experienced than Obi-Wan is, he just wasn't ready, and the Force kind of thrust Obi-Wan into his path and said, no, you are ready. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he was trying to draw, I think, on some of that.
Everyone wants to see more of Anakin when he's older and him tempted by the dark side, and all that's great. And I want to see more of that too. People want to see more of Vader and his struggles, and I think the last Vader comic line did a really great job of showing those struggles. But now, just thinking of this kid, you know, he was a slave. He even tells Obi-Wan that, doesn't he? He's like, you may have issues, but you weren't a slave like I was. Like, I don't know where I come from. I didn't have a life before this, and all of a sudden people are telling me that I'm going to save. I mean, I'm essentially going to save the galaxy. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. And something else, I want to see the behind the scenes of that and the Jedi Temple itself. A lot of this new canon stuff is showing us about the behind the scenes of the Empire and life on the Empire and life on the Death Star. What about life in the Temple? What about that? What about Ben, you know, and Luke's temple? What were those experiences like? Because Ben himself also, if we're to believe Mark Hamill talking about Ben Solo before The Last Jedi came out, he said that he believed that Luke Skywalker thought Ben Solo was the chosen one.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm going to butcher this name here, but Yalin is Chavez is talking about the idea that when we think of in our own faith and religion, we think of who the chosen one is, who is Messiah, who is, and some faiths believe it's let's say a Persian king, one of the prophecies talked about. And then some believe that Jesus is the real Savior, and some believe the Messiah has yet to come. It's all about perspective. It's all about where you're coming from. And so that could be, you know, the same case here in, you know, a galaxy far, far away. That maybe things are, you know, just because George Lucas said it doesn't mean the characters in his story may know who the chosen one is. And they may go on thinking for years that doesn't make sense to them, just like it doesn't to us. So they may think, you know, that it could be Ben Solo. It could be Rey. It could be someone to come. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
And maybe it's one of those prophecies that's never fulfilled.
Maybe.
It's just, I mean, Yoda tells us maybe that, you know, what's he say? Prophecy misread may have been.
Absolutely.
You know, so there's some of that as well.
It just shows that these two, you look at Ben Solo and Anakin, very similar circumstances, and I'm sure, like I said, he's being fed the same stuff that Anakin was, and it's a lot of pressure on a kid. I mean, it's also a different story for Ben because he comes from, let's call him a royal family. He does, like his upbringing and his bloodline. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's not surprising what path he went down, to be honest.
Yeah.
And this just kind of shows, you know, some of that frustration, and it's just kind of unfortunate circumstances. None of them thought they were going to be in this situation, and they're kind of thrust into it. And that's why at the end it's nice that they're just kind of like, we're going to lean on each other. Yeah. And that's not a relationship that a lot of Jedi and Padawans have. What other?
Yeah, you're right. It does end in a very
we got each other's backs and we're going to learn from each other. He said usually, like, maybe it's, you know, the master learns from the apprentice as well.
Right.
And that's not the logic in other relationships.
Right, but I like that Obi-Wan would be hopefully more humble in that sense and see that he has a lot to learn and open up and share that with Anakin. But if you just got to hopefully Anakin can also be the student. He wants to so quickly. He has a lot of impatience. Yeah, and he wants to be the master sooner rather than later. Yeah. And part of it is in his defense is he's being tempted by the dark side from a young age. Palpatine is in his life now, and there are dreams. He's still. We've started episode 2. Obi-Wan is very concerned about the dreams that he's having about his mother. Starts right away. Yeah, and. You know, and even after the little conflict that they had together, Obi-Wan moves on. You will learn your place. He tells him, you will learn your place, young one. You know, and then right after that, he's like, you look tired.
Yeah. Well, right, because he's trusting the prophecy.
He's
trusting that whatever happens, this is bad, but he's going to be the savior.
It's almost like if you almost wish that when that's said and it's told to Anakin, I think that the telling of the prophecy to the student that you are the chosen one is wrong. I think that it may be part of what, you know, that's why a lot of fantasy stories you see that the chosen one, those who know, it's hidden from them because you don't want to jade, you know, how they are brought up, how they're raised, or how they're trained, you know. And it's like, you're right that Obi-Wan could be relying on that. That's his crutch. It's
Absolutely.
like, okay, even though I'm not the best here, like
We'll
this,
still be okay.
this must be a part of the prophecy.
Absolutely.
There's something going on here. Like, I can slip here and there. Versus if this was just his student, he might be more in tune to these changes and say, this isn't right.
Yeah, no, this, yeah.
Someone is tempting my apprentice.
Absolutely.
And he would get very upset by that, right?
Yeah.
And the influence that Palpatine and others would have on him, I think he would go put it down. He would shut it down. But now it's sort of like Anakin almost doesn't, not that an apprentice belongs to their master, but they are tied to them.
Yeah.
And there is this relationship there, right? You feel like Anakin belongs to everybody.
Yeah.
And then everybody is influencing him, and he's not getting all of his teaching and stuff, which I get that can be a good thing too, that he has all these different perspectives and influences, and maybe that's a part of it. But I wonder how different it would have been if he wouldn't have known, if Obi-Wan even didn't know that he was the chosen one, you know?
Agreed. I think that I just think wholeheartedly that prophecy was equal parts the reason why things went down the way they went down. It's it is Palpatine. That's why I think that I can't remember his name provided that theory on the prophecy, and could have been, you know, Palpatine's idea. But like, if it wasn't, like, Palpatine shrouding their vision, but like this prophecy, they're just leaning on it. It's a crutch, man. But thinking about the ending of this comic too, you know what it takes me? It takes me to the end of episode 3.
Okay.
After he slices Anakin down.
Yeah.
And how emotional he is. We've seen in Clone Wars, we've seen masters lose their apprentices. And there's a brief moment, you know, of sorrow, but ultimately we never see a reaction like that. They really were brothers. Yeah. It's such a different relationship than any other master and apprentice.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad
they've helped each other and saved each other countless times. Yeah. Had each other's back, trusted each other.
Yeah. I want more. I want more of this.
Well, I do too. I do too. Because one of the things that really breaks you up is when Padme is asking Anakin. He says, you know, talking about the Jedi had betrayed the Republic. Yeah. And he says, but what about? She says, what about Obi-Wan? And he says, you know, he kind of says like he's hopeful. Yeah. He's hopeful that he has stayed. You know, but he, you know. I mean, what? Who knows? I don't know. It's crazy.
That's
man.
crazy.
It's crazy to think that. What would he have done if he would have encountered Obi-Wan and Padme wasn't there? Yeah, that was his excuse. Was to say, you know. So she goes out and confronts. If Obi-Wan would have confronted him before Padme, how different would that have been? Yeah, you know, what would he have said? Yeah. You know? Yeah. Maybe there could have been some persuasion there. There could have been a chance to pull him back. But Obi-Wan then gets to see how he treats Padme, the one he loves. But he only gets enraged with her when he sees Obi. Yeah. You know? So I don't know.
I don't know. With Obi-Wan's experience in the Clone Wars with Satine, I just feel like he would...
I feel like he was more... He knew.
Yeah.
He knew. He didn't even have to ask Padme. He said... Anakin's the father, isn't he?
But it's like he never, ever thought that he would turn. You know what I'm saying? They're still worried about this Sith Lord, not knowing that, like, Anakin's a huge part of this.
I would need to go back and look at the, what was it? Clone Wars, right? Yeah. The Mortis arc. Does Obi-Wan leave there knowing, or is his memory wiped as well?
His memory wiped.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right.
But I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. That's when this prophecy comes into play. I feel like he would have had that not been a thing, like you said, he would have done more to stop that relationship. Yes. To really right his path. Yeah. You know? Yep. I feel like he was trusting it way too much.
But the other thing is, you know, Padme has the right in it. We should go to Obi-Wan. Yeah. He will help you. He does care about you.
I don't want to hear another thing about Obi-Wan.
Oh, exactly. But what's crazy is, think about what if they would have approached him and said, even before he turns to, you know, becomes Lord Vader, and says, look, we're in love. Yeah. I know this is against the Jedi code. Yeah. He can leave. Yeah. Leave the order. some of them are exiled and banished and what
You're
have
right.
you. So
You could've.
some of them take the Barash vow.
Yeah.
You know, they go do their own thing, whatever.
Yeah.
So there are things that you could do.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just have to be a Jedi? He had to be a master. It was a thing where he had to show everyone that he, you know, was at this level. It's just different. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was in the system and he had to, you know, continue to jump through the hoops, even though he was clearly, you know, in violation of their code.
Yeah.
But maybe Obi-Wan was too.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of them were.
Yeah.
So,
is it surprising that they're not? Do you think they'll do? They have Legends books about their relationship. And
Sure.
Off fighting, doing the missions that they talked about in the movies.
right.
Will they ever revisit that relationship again outside of this comic? You know what I'm saying? Like, are the? I'm sorry,
in a cartoon, maybe
in a novel.
In a novel,
That's where it's perfect.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
We don't need a cartoon. I want a novel.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, we're getting the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan novel, which should be great.
Yeah, sure. We're
feel
getting Padme's novel, which is so there's more stuff there.
Yeah,
so maybe
which
they
is
could.
Cool. I'm not the most excited about it, but it's cool.
It is cool. I mean, so the gaps that they're filling there.
Yeah,
That's what's kind of cool is that they're
Yeah.
looking at the gaps. Where can you fill? And they could do more with the Obi-Wan Anakin relationship.
I feel like they need to.
Yeah, and Padme would be involved in that. I'm sure there'd be talks about it or a dream that he had discusses with Obi-Wan. You know, he kind of knows from the beginning. You know, we were just watching an episode 2.
Yeah.
She was happy to see us.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
so
that was also an awkward. Like when he says that, it feels awkward. I don't know why.
well, I think we think about it. It's awkward because we think about it as in like Anakin loves her.
Yeah.
But Obi-Wan's just thinking about it as like, you know,
She's happy to see us.
it was nice to be back. It was nice to feel because they don't
Yeah.
often get that. You know, it's like
That's
this is
true.
a senator and this is a former queen who we played a major role in that. We
Yeah.
feel good about what we did there, and it's good to see her again.
That's true.
You know, I don't know.
They've been off.
But
doing
from
other
Anakin's
things.
perspective, it's like, oh, that's good. You know,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
so
Crazy, man. Didn't think that comic would spark much conversation, but it did.
it did. I liked it. I actually really enjoyed it, and it leads us into conversations about the training of the Jedi and the issues with the Council and their air quote arrogance, the dogmatic views of the Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know. To take back, let me go back. I don't know if I mentioned this in the podcast, but I think it was Zach. I think it was before we were talking, before we started. He said, "Oh gosh, let me see if I can find it real quick." We were just talking about what was going on here in the feed. Oh, was he the one that brought up Plagueis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you heard the Legend of Plagueis? That's where it all starts, my friend. So it started with Plagueis. We'll take it back there.
That's right.
He's the key to everything.
That's right.
So I just want folks to remember that.
Absolutely.
Apparently, there's so much. This conversation would have been completely different had we have read that novel. So
Like, you got it all wrong, guys.
yeah, you guys are all over the place. Oh man, funny stuff. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Well, so anyways, this was just a real kind of an improv podcast. We just jumped on here. We had we were testing out the equipment, and then just decided we would
Yeah.
get after it. So that's what we do.
This was great. I like the
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
real time feedback and the real time questions.
Me too.
I'll just up the internet. I mean, that's what we got to do, right?
We gotta up the internet. That's all we have to do. It won't be as grainy.
Yeah.
We'll fix the camera situation.
Yeah. No, I think we've been flawless on that.
No, I didn't want to tell you, but it's
kicked
been
out?
kicked out.
Perfect.
It's kicked out.
Perfect.
I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to change your
Like,
demeanor.
oh, cool. They're clicking on. Yeah,
I did.
that's fair. We'll figure that out.
No, but it does come through. The audio comes through really well, and so we were playing some music as we were setting up. That came through really clean.
Yeah.
So we were happy about that. So shout out to everybody who is on our YouTube chat there, just hopping in. We might do some fun stuff more with that, just the live video there.
Yep.
And you guys can influence the show. It's another way to influence the show.
Absolutely.
If you're one of our patrons, we definitely will make sure that we shout you out and we get you on here to kind of talk with us more about theories and things as well.
That's right.
All right, my friend. I think that's it for this episode. I want to remind folks to hop over onto the Facebook group there. Send us an email at rebelwatchpodcasting@gmail.com.
Yes.
Hit us up on Twitter. We've been more active there at RW2187. Again, why hasn't Holly made me a script yet to read? you know, for the social media at the end here, because she's getting on me about not plugging everything the right way.
Yeah, we need a button that we can press, a pre-recorded, promotion.
Gotcha.
For the
just
social
runs.
media. Yeah, just pause and then play it.
There it is. Okay.
Like that would be nice,
right?
That we
nice.
can't forget it.
We'll work on that.
I think.
But yeah, anyways, hit us up though. We've been way more active on all of that stuff, and it's been really nice to make some new friends there, and we've been enjoying the collaborations that we have done and that we have coming. So stay tuned for those. Got some exciting ones coming up.
Yeah, we've got also a what if as from a listener that we're gonna be putting on the Patreon.
Oh yeah, okay,
it's a good one.
Is it a good one?
It's a good one. Can I just
tease it?
Can I tease it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Pappy J76. I don't think Pappy provided us his name.
That's
but he
fine.
said,
I love that.
Love the show, gentlemen. Keep up the great work. I hope this sparks some good storytelling, which great start. He says this is part of our What If series that we did on Patreon.
Yep.
We're going to bring that back. He says, what happens if Leia makes it to Tatooine and reaches Obi-Wan? Does he go? Does he leave Luke? He turned Ezra away in Rebels. How would this change the story? Does he leave Luke and train Leia instead?
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's great.
It's going to be great.
Okay, cool. So there's a tease. We will we'll have to bring that up on the Patreon series and what have you. We also have on there our Red Leader and Gold Leader mini series. So if you want to check that out, it's just some one-on-one stuff with Mike and I where we're chatting. I think we've got an unboxing coming up too.
It's time to let people into the secret life of Mike
Get
and
them in.
Ez.
Get them in here. Yeah.
I mean,
it's a secret life, but we're opening the door.
We've become collectors, and it's time to show that side of our lives because I think there's others out there. Now, we're not hoarders or something. I'm not going to, walk you in my door and you're going to see that I got all these newspapers or something. But I got some Black Series I want to show people that got me really excited. Some new stuff came out, and I just get giddy over it. So,
by the way, we need to, when we're done here, we need to
hop out to the store.
Hop out to the store because Mike told me where they're at. So
perfect, yeah.
We'll definitely do that. So, yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff there. We want to vlog more also on our way to celebration and just in general. We're having a good time, and we just, I don't know, it's just so cool to connect with people from around the world, and make new friends, people who love Star Wars like we do and love the fandom. We've become actually pretty good friends with Force Toast Pod. And that was such a great collaboration.
It was a great collaboration.
Been hitting them up on Twitter quite a bit, so I would love to have them back on eventually. And so if you guys haven't checked them out, please go do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real fun, ladies there. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Good discussions. All right, friends. Well, I think that's it for this week. Check out all that social media. Send us an email. And as always, remember, may the Force be with you.